Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Cas, and that's Omeka over there on that other screen, and you're kicking it with Cas and Omeka. How you guys doing today?
How are you guys? Good to have
There
you
you
here.
go. There you go. So if you're on, let us know in the chat how you're doing. We appreciate you. Before we get started, please forgive me. Omiko just let me know that my lighting and my whole entire presence in this screen looks crazy. If you're in Georgia, weather's been crazy over the past couple weeks, and it's storming where I'm at, and
Yeah.
internet is going in and out. But you know what? We're gonna survive this episode. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad Omika is here. So we appreciate it. So, but forgive me on my content. So Omika, how have you been?
I have been booked and busy.
That's good.
I've been in my creative space. Um,
Nice.
I have been also, making time for myself. I have been
Good.
catering to my target audience, all
Okay.
those things. Yes. So
Okay.
very, how about you?
That's awesome. The same. Like, so I know maybe 2 episodes ago, I definitely hit a roadblock. I was making some transitions in business, but things are definitely better. When you talk about, just self-care and, attending to yourself personally, I've been doing the same, and it's been refreshing. But last episode we talked about, I was a little bit selfish, and I talked about me, finding clarity and getting better. And this week, so week over week, is even better than last week. So definitely have a game plan, and we have some things that are booked, long overdue, for the month of August. So I'll tell you all about it though. So yep, 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 yep.
Cannot wait to hear. I cannot
Yeah,
wait to hear about it. I know the last time we touched points, you were getting ready to go on vacation. So how was that?
yeah, that was super good. So I went to New York. It was like a mini vacation. You know what? I shouldn't change the name of it. It was still a vacation, but it's been a long time since I caught up with my family, my parents, my sister. Two of my daughters live in New York, so that was fantastic. We had an opportunity to eat, right? So every time I go to New York, I like to, get some New York food. I love the food in the South, but there's certain things in the South that cannot, or in the North that can't, be replaced living in the South, like pizza, Chinese food. I don't know if it's the water or what it is, but yeah, gotta grab those staples.
It is funny that you say that. I'm so glad
Mhm.
that you enjoyed your vacation and that you were
Yeah.
able to get your favorites, kick it with the fam, see your kids.
Mhm.
In case you haven't caught on, that is a stage of self care as well. So kudos to
That's,
you
yep.
for just kind of refueling, resetting. Like I said, spending time with that family, getting some of your faves. So if you guys don't know, I'm from Louisiana. No, I'm not from New Orleans. I'm from a small town called Houma, Houma. And anybody who has been to Louisiana, not really north, but kind of like southwest or southeast
Mhm.
Louisiana. So like Houma, Baton Rouge, New Orleans. Our food is authentic. We make it with so much love. And some people really just travel to Louisiana to eat.
Eat.
So I
Yep.
can relate that when I go home, I have my favorites. I grew up in southeastern Louisiana, so I love shellfish. And guess what, Cass? I recently found out that I may be allergic. So
Oh
I
my gosh.
escalated to an Asian. Yes. And I had to do blood work so that my allergist can figure out why my body reacts the way that it does. So this
Wow.
back since we're on the topic of our favorite foods.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you can just about imagine that I was totally crushed.
Devastated. You know what? I'm gonna drop a prior for you because well, I love food. So, and I'll eat anywhere I go. My wife will tell you I'll eat anything, I'll try anything. There's not a lot of foods that I won't at least try once. I know some people are like scared to try certain things, but
Mhm.
as over the years of us, as I have studied, Louisiana always comes up as the number one place to eat. And every time like I jump on TikTok or I Google, I see like all these places and I'm creating a list of places that I
Yeah,
gotta go. I know like when I visit next, I'll probably gain 5 to 10 pounds easily just
yeah.
eating.
Definitely do a fast before you go. Definitely
Okay.
do a fast for like 3 days, and
Right.
you'll be great. Yes.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So I want to jump into something. You know, we're just always kicking it, and there's no set agenda, but we're always talking about content, entrepreneurship, spirituality, those top 3 or 4 things. And one of the things that I just dropped in content, I dropped it on LinkedIn, and I'm not sure if it's even gotten replies yet, but I also want to bring it to Omeka.
Mhm.
So right now in the United States, the hottest topic that's trending is what's just going on in politics, right? And I'm not a big political guy. And a matter of fact, me personally, I tell people not to drop politics in their content, right? It's just, I do believe in dropping content that's polarizing and things that make people have to pick between two things, saints versus falcons,
Yes.
cherries
Mhm.
versus bananas, things of that, waffles or pancakes. But politically, the question I dropped is, have you ever unfollowed someone or unfriended someone or stopped doing business with a person or even a company just due to their political affiliations in content. So what I mean by in content, meaning that, hey, most companies are aligned one way or another. They might sponsor a certain candidate, and then there's certain companies and people that take it a step further and might weave in their political affiliation into their content. And I'm not talking about just for likes or poking fun. I'm talking about, hey, standing die hard with this one
Yes. Oh,
individual,
yeah.
right? So I'm not
Mhm.
going to reveal my political affiliation, but Omika, what are your thoughts? Have you ever ran it up against somebody that was kind of over the top, or even the fact that you thought that they went one way and that they are vocally and visually aligned another way, and that forced you to unfriend? Has that ever happened to you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it has, a couple of times actually.
Okay. Okay.
So the first time it was, a lady that I knew, I was close to somebody that's related to her,
Right.
and, we were friends on Facebook, and,
Right.
in the previous election, let's just say that, she stood on what
Right.
she stood on, and that's okay. Like, it's okay for you to, believe what you believe and who you
I
believe
agree.
and back whomever. But when it gets to the point to where you start showing your true colors,
Right.
um, that's where I draw the line. And
Right.
so, and the crazy thing about it is I'm still friends with her relative, but I'm not friends with her because
Right.
I just have a different type of relationship with that person. And that person says what he wants to say, but he's never crossed the line. So it's
Right.
like when you cross the line for me, that's it. I can't have any affiliation with you. I'm 100% with you on the fact that I don't add any of those things into my content.
Right.
I don't want to associate my brand with it at all because we have our reasons for who we support, right?
Right.
And the world doesn't have to know um, who you're backing in the presidential election or even local elections. It
Right.
should not have to do with anything else that you have going on in your business or in your personal life.
Right.
So I feel like those are two lines that should not cross. And when they do, I just disassociate myself.
Perfect, perfect. I think I will have to agree with you on two main things that you said. Number one is, you have a freedom to to choose or politicize in any way that you want to. That's why we're a democracy. Like, you get to pick and choose, which is fantastic. It's part of our freedom. So no one's saying that you have to pick one or the other.
Right.
But the second thing that you said that is loud and clear to me is crossing the line. It's when you pick one side and then you automatically hate the other side, or
Yes.
you're automatically belittling or
Yes.
destroying or just discounting anything that the other side has to say, to the
Yes.
point where it's almost fanatical or even beyond fanatical. I don't, I'd have to think of a word that really touches right on what I'm trying to think of, but it's beyond fanatical, to the point that you're crazy for this one person, to the point that you totally can't hear or comprehend
Comprehend.
the
Yeah.
other side. And
Mhm.
to me, what that does is it makes me think that, are you able to logically process other thoughts outside of politics? Is this how you feel about, customer service or the way
Mhm.
you treat your people or, because you're voicing your opinion like this, are you able to communicate in more professional ways outside of that? And it's funny too, because I've hung with people that do come on very professional, they're
Mhm.
solid, they're logical thinkers, they
Mhm.
allow you to, interject and you're able to debate. But then when they come to this one thing, politics, it's
Yeah.
like there's no, I don't even know what word to use. They can't
Yeah.
comprehend
Yeah.
why, you would think this other way. And here's the thing, if let's go back to polarizing topics, right? So let's say, you're a Chevy girl and I'm a Ford guy. Most
Mhm.
Chevy people, they're Chevy people and they're not Ford people. Most Ford people, they're Ford people and not Chevy people. But the one thing that I'll say is, if you're a Chevy person and the Ford people are like, hey, Ford does this better, at least the Chevy person will be like, you know what? Yes, Ford does do that better, right? So
Yeah.
they're able to be like, yeah, there's certain points that Ford has that I can't disagree with. Ford does this way better than Chevy, but I'm riding
Right.
with Chevy. My father had a
Yeah.
Chevy. Like my first car was a
Mhm.
Chevy. I had a Chevy and it went 300,000 miles. And that's why I love Chevy, right? But they're still able to say there's certain things about Ford that I rock with. It's just
Yeah.
not for me.
It's just not for me.
It's just
Absolutely.
not for me.
And
Right,
and
right.
that's
Where
how I feel, honestly
yeah,
about sports. Like, my
right,
husband sees a lot of benefits in
right,
them, but I
right,
just don't. I've It's just never been my thing. I own
right,
one Ford,
right,
in my life, and I once I left, I never went back,
right, right,
and
right, right,
because I needed
right,
transportation. And,
right.
I wasn't, as responsible as, I am today, so I had to
Right.
kinda, get what I could afford
Figure
at the
things
time.
out. Right, right, right.
It's never
Yeah,
been
that
my
makes sense.
has never been
Yeah,
my
yeah,
top, right?
yeah.
Um,
No, I totally
you
get it.
you have a valid point because someone can feel strongly about something, but
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that you have to disrespect or belittle or be condescending towards
Right,
someone who disagrees with your opinion because we're
right,
all entitled to our opinions.
right.
And like I said, once you cross the line, it's just no coming back from
There's no
that.
going back. Yep, 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 yep. So I'd have to say, to every rule, there's an exception. And the one exception that I'll make, and not even with politics, probably with sports, because my ultimate rule, when I say, when I talk about breaking rules, is that you shouldn't really be too polarizing when you own a business, especially like uh, well, it doesn't even matter, any kind of business where you're doing transactions with people,
Yes.
because once you alienate one group, like sometimes there's just no coming back. So people might not literally like you because you're a Saints fan, right? So there's no need to ride with it, right? But the only exception to the rule that I'll see is, there's certain pubs, bars that I've been to that are diehard pubs for that team. Right,
Mhm.
so you might have like a Manchester United, you follow soccer, that pub, like,
Mhm.
anytime Manchester United is on, that pub is rolling heavy with that
Yeah.
team. And
Mhm.
that I could see. And same thing with Falcons or Saints or my boy's a 49ers fan, and there's this one bar that he goes to, and everybody in there's a 49ers fan. But they built their business on rolling that way. So I could understand that
It
because
it
they
yeah,
they know what their niche is, and they're
yeah,
not even killing Falcons fans. They're just saying that, "Hey, 49ers fans, this is your home. If you want to come and have a good time,
yes,
we could talk trash against the other team together, and you could feel safe in this environment, right?"
absolutely.
But yeah, politics and content, I don't. And here's the thing: I'm gonna say this, and I really don't care who you roll with. I really, really don't. Everybody has the freedom to pick whoever they want to pick, or no matter who you pick, we're all gonna have problems, right? So don't let
Absolutely.
it so don't let it slow you down. But mixing it with your content, ultimately, I don't feel is a good look. Sometimes you're alienating other people, and bigger than that, sometimes it could leave your brand damaged to the point where um, it's very hard to come back. So just wanted to know your thoughts. So I appreciate you sharing.
Yes, it can be very damaging to your brand. It can be damaging to your career. It
Oh,
can
for
be
sure.
damaging just to who you are in
Right.
life.
Hmm.
And some people will, and let's just say you don't put it with your content. Let's just say you share something that someone else has shared. You have to be
Hmm.
careful with that too for our
For
listeners.
sure.
You
Yep.
have to be careful with those types of things because especially let's just say in corporate America, I don't
Hmm.
think people understand that there's a certain department whose job is to monitor the
For
employee
sure.
social media,
Right. For
and you're
sure.
doing these things and you're making
For
these
sure.
status
Right.
and you go for this job and I mean like you're a great fit, everything is good, the money's good, the location's good,
Hmm.
and then they check your social media and you
People
just
are getting,
on
yeah,
the flag.
yeah, yeah. People are getting canceled over tweets from 10 years
Yes,
ago.
yes,
Yep. Yeah.
absolutely.
Which so that leads me to another point. So we're going to transition for a little bit. So we were talking about politics before, and we're slowly transitioning over into just content being forever. And there are two ways that I feel about this. Um, I have seen people literally get shut down, canceled, lose endorsements over something that they said or did, 10, 15 years ago when they were younger. Maybe they were not as educated,
Mm,
not as mature. I mean, I'm going to tell you how I feel, and then I want to hear your opinion.
okay.
I honestly see both sides of it. So I do see, especially when it's sexualized or it's racial, where there's no coming back. And then I also see where people use certain slurs or certain slangs, and they're in the wrong place, wrong time. They were just a kid. Because me as a kid, I did some crazy stuff, and I
Right.
already know that I hope like none of my stuff never comes up because I've done bad, and I'm a different person now because I was just a kid. And then even at that point, there wasn't as much education around, hey, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't post that, or maybe you shouldn't do this. Matter of fact, it was very trendy to just put your thoughts out there and let the world see. And who knew that 15, 20 years later, these old tweets would be there?
Mhm.
Um, but I do see things, I do see it both ways. And I do examine these things on a case by case basis. But what are your thoughts there with just old content?
So, the worst thing that Facebook could have done
Yeah,
was ask you
memories.
what's on your mind.
Yeah, right,
Because sometimes you don't need to say what's on your mind.
right,
And I do agree with you because when we're young, some of us we were dumb.
right,
I will see memories that pop up
right,
of statuses that I posted, and it's not necessarily what I said. It was just the whole grammar of it
right.
all. And
Grammar,
I'm
yep.
like, what was I thinking about? What was I trying to say? But for me, it's a growth moment. Like you said, you're a different
Right.
person now. I'm a different person
Mhm.
now. 20-year-old me versus me
Right.
today, like night and day. Now, I'm gonna take it a bit further
Mhm,
because I felt that you were kind of going here, and I
mhm.
want to take it there. So I'm gonna pose a question to your question
Sure.
and the audience as well. So, do you think someone should be punished or canceled? Because we're in the cancel culture
Mhm.
based on something that they stated or posted 10 plus years ago. What are your thoughts on that?
Gotcha. All right. So before I answer, audience, go ahead and put your thoughts down below too in the comments. Just curious to see where you stand. Um, I'm going to answer, but like I don't even want to get canceled because of my answer. But like ultimately, I'd say 75% of me says no, they shouldn't, especially if they were in a different state of mind, different environment. Um, but that's why I said earlier, it almost really needs to be looked at on a case by case
Yeah.
basis. I'm gonna tell you why. So let's say
Mhm.
you go back 20 years ago, like Twitter is almost 20 years old. If not, they're already at the 20-year or more. Now,
Mhm.
people go through many changes in 20 years. People go through many changes in 10 years, 5 years, sometimes 1 year, sometimes 6 months. And yes, I believe that sometimes when they stated that thing 20 years ago, they meant it and they said it, and that's what it is. But people are allowed to change and get better.
Yeah.
And I think that now, even though I'm saying, yeah, yes, they should not get canceled, I also think that when you look at it on a case by case basis, so let's say they said that thing 20 years ago, and then 19 years ago, they were still on that energy. 15 years ago, they were still on that energy. 10 years
Yeah.
ago, they were still on that energy. 5 years,
Right.
then yes, they should be canceled because now they have a history of
Yeah.
doing this one thing, over and over again. And there's multiple cases or multiple just a series like of events that you could actually that are documented where
Yeah.
what, I don't think this person has changed. And yes, the worst thing that they did was 20 years ago, but if you look at the history over the past 20 years, they have the same energy. And yes, let's just get them out of here, right?
Right.
And then you look at certain people where, again, like 20 years ago, they were 15, right, and rolling with a bad crowd,
Yeah.
and they
Peer
later
pressure.
went on to college. They became whatever religion.
Mhm.
They have a family. They've done good in the community. They've done good by their job, and you could see literally like a history of documented change and improved change going up. So I'm like, nah, they shouldn't be canceled. And that's my opinion, but I
I would
truly believe that. Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Definitely case
Yeah.
by case.
Hmm.
And you have to look for the change behavior.
Right.
'Cause like you said, if it was 20 years ago and then year 10 and then year 15, they were still in the same stuff, then that it's rooted in them, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
you're not born a racist.
Hmm.
You're taught to be
Hmm.
racist. So it could be the environment someone grew up in, it could be peer
Yep.
pressure, them hanging out with the wrong crowd, like you said.
Right.
It can be a number of things. It could just be where they were in life at that time. And I mean, come
Right.
on, like 15 years old, 16, whatever. Like your brain is not fully developed and
It's
you're
not.
not even thinking straight. So
Right.
do I think they should be held accountable? I do not. If it's something that's been ongoing, like there are some trends, then
Right.
yes. But honestly, I think we're too quick to cancel people.
Yeah, I
Um,
do too.
I think we're not forgiving enough.
Hmm.
And a lot of that starts with self because we don't forgive ourselves for certain things. So we project that onto other people because, and I think you can agree with me when I say this, it's so easy to point out other people's faults and their
Yep.
downfalls and their shortcomings.
Yep.
But when we look in the mirror, it's
Hmm.
not as easy. So
Yep. Yep.
I would have
Yeah.
to agree with you on that.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. Yeah. So I know that was kind of like a dark topic, but it's true. It's come up, especially when I talk to so many entrepreneurs who are just dealing with content, and nothing's really come up in the news lately. But it seems as though like at least once a quarter, every 2 3 months, somebody's tweets from 20 years ago gets pops up, and I mean this is also a constant reminder too that it's okay for you to audit your own stuff.
Yeah.
Many of us have had Facebook accounts for ages, and I personally don't think I have anything out there. Since day one, I've been timid and very reserved.
Yes.
But again, there were kids on there 15, 20 years ago just saying craziness, right?
Right.
Or it's
Mhm.
not even sometimes what they say. Sometimes there are certain songs, right? Songs that, like, if you listen to now, you're like, "Wait a second, he was talking about blah, 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 that's crazy,"
They
right?
destroy
But then by affiliating yourself with that song, you know what? At that time, that song was popping, right? So I even see that, but it's never too late to go ahead and audit. go back to your first tweet and then work your way up. If there's something crazy there, the internet never forgets and stuff is there forever. But before you get in trouble, or if you get in trouble, it's okay to do a self audit and go back to see if you have anything crazy from, the 15 or 20-year-old version of yourself that you don't want to ever come out. And just imagine that you're, running for president, right? And everything in your closet can be pulled back up. Would it make you or break you? Just think about
Yeah.
it like that. Yeah.
Or imagine you raising kids, right?
Yeah,
You're
that's a good one
raising your
too.
children, and what I'm sure a lot of you would agree with us. Some of the things some people have done and said, and represented, you don't want your kids nowhere around that. So that's
Right.
another reason to do a self audit, because
Right.
these kids these days, all
Yeah.
they need is a Wi-Fi connection,
That's all they need.
and they're gone, and they will find anything. And
Oh, for sure.
children are the last people that you want to inflict this um behavior upon.
Hmm.
Is
No,
the
for
other
sure.
thing to say.
For
So
sure. For
yeah.
sure. For sure. Yeah. So before we transition, Hulu recently dropped like a Freaknik documentary, and me and some of the fellows were just laughing, like people being afraid that they wouldn't pop up in the Freaknik documentary. But that would be another
Totally.
classic example of a time period where everyone was doing this thing, and there were more followers than leaders,
Yeah.
and you might have popped up. So again, self audit, self reflection. Not going to stay on it too long, but it's an opportunity to go and clean up if you can. Clean
Yeah.
up if you can.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep,
It's like
yep, yep.
sometimes I see this meme sometimes, and it's like, millennials, they'll be sharing it, or Gen Z, and they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Well, our parents, they get on us for the dances that we do, but look at how they used to be on," you know?
Nah,
And
it's true. It's
funny,
it's
but
just
it's true.
it's true. It is true. It's very generational.
Yeah.
And I tell Yara all the time. I tell my wife all the time, like it feels like I've turned into my father. Like the things that he was warning me about now, like I'm looking at my kids and warning them, or little things like that I'm annoyed by. I'm like, I actually used to be the person annoying other people and just
Yes.
didn't know it. And I also agree too that, or I think that there's certain lessons in life that can't be taught. Like you
Right.
almost have to go through it
Go
for you to
through
learn. So yeah, yeah, super deep, super deep. So yeah,
it.
that took up half of the podcast. Thanks for riding with me.
I
So
mean,
talk to
that
me
this is
about.
good. I feel
Yeah,
like we needed to get that out in the
yeah,
open.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now this been on my mind, and I just had to drop a poll like on LinkedIn just to see how other people, felt. And as I was dropping it, the first thing I said that, hey, this is not a political post. Don't even post how you feel about politics in the comments. I just want to know from a content standpoint.
Right.
But I'm gonna see who comments something crazy, and I will delete that comment in a heartbeat. Yeah,
Right.
there's no First Amendment
Okay.
right on my, oh, yeah, on my on my content because I don't even want to be associated with that. But I still wanted to know how people were thinking.
Absolutely.
Yep,
Because
yep, yep, yep.
it make one self-reflect.
Yeah, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yep,
Mhm.
yep. So what do you have coming up?
So, I have a few things actually. I'm getting ready for a rebranding shoot.
Okay,
So I have that cooking. I am getting ready. Well, actually, this week I've been breaking down the rainy day planner.
hmm
Um, so kind of putting some, kind of tutorial type
okay,
content out there for my raindrops who have the planner and they're like, oh my God, where do I start?
right,
So just like I said, like getting back in touch with my target audience and
nice,
being there for them. So that's really where my focus is because I want to continue to nurture them and I want my listeners and my readers and my followers to know that hey, I created this for you and I got
right.
your back. So
Nice.
yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. Looking forward to that for sure.
yeah.
One of the things that we have coming up is we have neglected our meetup, ATL Business Club, for maybe 3 months. So we haven't had a local meetup in a while. So we do have August 24th, Saturday, August 24th at 12 o'clock on the roster. So I'll pop a link down below. Or again, this is not for advertising, but I do want people to show up if you're an entrepreneur. If you listen to this podcast, if you follow Mika, if you
Yes,
follow me in any context, we'd like to see you in person. So October 24th will be our next event, and it's all about entrepreneurs. And we have a special guest speaker, and she's an attorney, and she'll be talking about how to specifically protect your business from a legal aspect. So, want to see you guys come out. And even if you're not interested, even if you don't have a business quite yet, you want to be around like-minded individuals, come
yes.
through and just say hi, shake our hands. And
I
yeah,
was so
yeah,
excited when I saw
yeah, this is exciting.
the
Oh,
invite.
you saw it? You saw it? Yeah, we're back. We're back.
Yes.
We're
Yes, I
back. So,
think it would be super dope. Like you said,
mhm,
especially to have an attorney there who can help you just protect yourself, protect your brand.
right,
Because like another attorney in that field would say, would you build a house on someone else's land? And of
right,
course, all of us would say no. So
right.
I'm super excited.
Cool.
I think I'll just be getting back from a
Okay.
trip, but I'm definitely going to try to be in a building
Yeah.
because, hey, I have
Yeah.
assets, brains to protect, right? So I
There you
definitely
go.
need to
There
get
you go.
that knowledge. And if you have never been to one of these meetup events, it is like minded individuals, like he said. It's a lot of networking, growth. You meet some great people, and you just build connections because
Right,
doing what we do, you don't know who you're going to need. And,
right,
in life and your business, particularly, you don't know who you're going to have to plug in one day, reach out to and say, hey, I met you, here or there. And I remember you told me you did this. I'm looking for someone, or my best
right.
friend is looking for someone. So it's just a place to network, get to know other business owners or individuals in the area. So definitely come out.
Yep, yep, yep. Well said, Omika. One of the things that I totally agree with is the fact that, as much as I put like push online content, business building online, social media, personal branding, all of my best customers, my best associates, my best clients, my best relationships have been created in person. So even if, we meet online, like I'm always seeking for a way for us to meet in person. And even if it starts on Zoom or virtually, meeting people in person like is like cement.
It's
Like
so
you're grounding yourself and you're seeing if you guys have a good connection, and it always turns into something fantastic. And like Omika said, it might not happen then and there, but it might be 6 months, 2 years where you're able to help that person do something, or they remember what you do and they're able to connect with somebody else. So we'd like to see you guys come out. I promise that we will be more consistent with our meetups, going back to at least once a month. It's a worthy cause, and we want to make sure that it's not even just for me or Mika or Yara or anybody that comes through. It's really for you guys to have
yeah.
an opportunity. You'll be surprised how many people I meet, and they say, "Man, I really wish like I had some place to go where I could commune with other entrepreneurs, right, in the Atlanta area." So even though this podcast is international, if you're in the Atlanta area, join the meetup, and we'd love to see you
We would love to see you there.
there. Cool, cool, cool.
So Cass, I know we
Yes,
talked
ma'am.
like two podcasts ago, and we
Mhm,
were talking about like people wasting your time, right?
mhm. It's still happening. It's still happening. It happened. It happened today. But go ahead.
The question before I ask, I was going to check in with that. So it is still happening.
It
Okay.
happened today. It happened. Today.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm trying to put money in somebody's pocket.
Wow.
See,
Wow.
I apologize for cutting you off, but it's such a it hurts my heart when people do that, man. Especially, I'm not asking. I'm to the point now. I'm not a millionaire or a billionaire, but I'm blessed enough that even if it's something small and I know that your business could benefit from it, I'm not selfish. Like I
Yeah.
don't hold anything back. I pride myself on connecting people and
Yes.
putting money in other people's pockets. And I'm doing this and
Well,
there's
no,
no response. And I don't know
Well,
if you
more
yeah,
important
I don't if I'm calling you, I'm typically not asking you for anything. I could
to
either be following up or again, I'm trying to put money in your pocket.
so that
I'm
brings
sorry.
me
I'm
to
sorry, Omika.
you answered my question, but that brings me to the next question I had. So
Yeah.
remember we talked about the whole email follow-up thing, and I
Yeah,
gave
yeah.
tips. Have you been trying any of that out? How has that been working out for you? Like
Repeat that. You mean email marketing?
with like email follow-ups, let's just say
Yeah,
someone sends you an email, and so now it's your
yeah,
turn to respond. Have
yeah.
you been opening that email, not responding, saying in your head, I'm going to respond later? Or have you been taking the advice of not opening it until you have at least 5 or 10 minutes to
Yeah.
set
No, no. I have been taking your advice and doing that. And yeah, making sure that I'm better with that. Honestly, I don't think I was terrible with that, but the tip that you gave me had more to do with time management more
Mhm.
than email management. So yes, I've been doing that, and that's an awesome tip. N- So what I think I said in that episode is even if I open it, I'll mark it as unread so I could come back
Mhm.
to it later to
Ex-
not forget. But
yeah.
yeah, the goal is zero inbox and anything that I can or have to do to not forget that I have to do that thing or follow up, I'm gonna
Right.
do it.
Right.
I'm
I
gonna
have
do it.
gotten into the habit when I schedule something, like whether it's a podcast recording or brand shooting or whatever, I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
tell her, I'm not going to say her name because she's going to think I'm talking to her, to please add it to my calendar.
Right,
Right.
right, right.
So, yeah, I just wanted to follow up. I was just wondering.
Yeah, nah,
I was just
nah.
wondering what's going for
That's a
you.
solid
All right.
that's a solid tip. I mean, I try to overcompensate. And I think even in that episode we talked about anybody that's ever worked in corporate
Yeah.
because time and calendar management, those two things were, I was dependent on them to perform well in my job.
Mhm.
This even though I'm an entrepreneur now, like they're still instilled in me to constantly anything I get, I try to put it on the calendar right away. And
Right.
people have different tools. It could be, Trello, Monday, Evernote. There's so many tools, but honestly, for me, just simple Google Calendar, where if I have a to-do list, I just drag it to my Google Calendar, and at least like I'm getting alerts. I'm always surprised when, I schedule something with somebody, and they're like, "Hey, I don't even have calendar on my phone," and then I'm like, "Wow, you're crazy." But then I have to think though, they weren't trained that way, so now I think it's our job to help
It
as many people as possible. I try not to judge. I'm like, okay, this is what you need. There is one
is.
tip that I got to give everybody that's listening that I really really love, like especially
Mhm.
for calendar management. I typically don't plug too many tools and resources here, but Calendly, I know everybody's heard about Calendly.
Yes.
If you're a business owner and if you have the funds, so if you're a business owner and if you don't have the funds, don't worry about it. But if you have the funds, step up to the pro plan. And the pro plan gives you what are called workflows. And in the workflows, it comes with free text messages. So you could say that, once this person schedules something, and I think you've probably been through it, Omika, text them an hour before, text them
Yeah.
15 minutes before. And I love that because it increases the chance and likelihood that people jump on your call.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have a calendar on their phone, even if they're the ones that scheduled the meeting, it's possible
Mhm.
that they're going to forget. So unless you're doing it manually, I think it's like $10 or $15 a month, and if you pay for it in a yearly package, I think it's $10 if you pay for it annually.
Okay.
It's worth it for me, if especially if you're scheduling a lot of calls or if your business relies on you getting people on the phone using Zoom. Calendly Pro Plan, hot tip of the week.
Ah, nice. Thank you
Hot
for
tip of
that.
the week. Yes, yes,
Yes, I
ma'am.
do
It's
I
worth it.
do have it, but I have, like, the free version.
Yeah,
Um, so, yeah, I thank you for that.
yeah, no
That's
worries.
that's some good info that I did not
Uh,
know.
You didn't know
'Cause
that? Yeah,
all these different apps that we use, right?
right, right,
And
right, right, right.
sometimes we don't even really understand or
Yeah, yeah.
leverage benefits of them. So
The app now for sure. Uh-oh, we just lost some light. Did I lose you?
Let me tell you, you jinxed,
I didn't jinx
you
you.
jinxed me. That weather that was over by you
The
is
weather's
not over by me.
yeah, yeah. I told you it was crazy, and it's funny. So, audience, we
It,
appreciate you. We had
yeah,
we had a little interruption after talking about Calendly, and at the very beginning of this podcast, I swore it was going to be me that got cut out because of the weather, and look who it was. Look who it
it
was.
was. I'm the
There you go.
culprit.
There you go. There you go. We appreciate you coming back. I'll edit it up so it looks smooth. But we're talking about Calendly, time management, people that don't follow up. We talked a little bit today about uh, not over politicizing your content, right? We talked about food in Louisiana versus New York. I think Louisiana is winning, right? So we had a lot to talk about this afternoon. And most importantly, we also talked about a new version of the rainy day planner coming and Omeka's photo shoot, right? Her content shoot. And we
Yeah.
also invited you to our next ATL Business Club meeting, which is in August, August 24th. So you'll see more information about that. But did I miss anything, Omeka?
No, you actually covered it all. Thank you for summarizing
Oh,
because
no problem.
this session was informative. It we
Yeah,
you
it
know we
was.
went a little deep, which
Mhm.
sometimes it's okay to go there, but for our listeners, like we hope you guys are loving the podcast. This is episode 6,
Yeah, it
and we
is.
can't thank you enough for kicking it with Cas and Omeka.
Awesome. Well said. I hear that thunder in the background.
Yeah, like it
That's
is
crazy.
not, it is real over here.
It's real. It's real. You guys have been real as well. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for joining. And this is Peace from Kaz. And
Oh, Mika, have a good one.
there you go. Have a good one.